Today, we're going to be talking about financial wellness and how to cultivate it. What is it? And how does someone actually reach the goal? But before we get there, an introduction to myself and Froots. So my name is Arlyne. I am the founder of Froots. We started in 2020 off the back of just seeing a lot of people felt uneasy because of the uncertainties from being put on furlough, and some people lost their jobs. I noticed a need within my community, especially people from Zimbabwe in the diaspora community. So I started off by hosting some Zoom sessions, and it just spiraled from there into workshops. We've delivered workshops for like the likes of GiftGaff, O2. We've worked with HSBC, Lloyds, Halifax, and we've also hosted workshops at the UK Black Business Show, Foundervine as well, and a whole host of other employers. So that has been really great that Froots opened up those doors. We also offer coaching sessions. We've helped over 4,000 individuals, whether through the live events that we do or one-to-one coaching sessions. And we can say that we've saved, a lot of people have saved up to £5 million and have paid off their debt, which is so amazing. We've got a few people that started out with us in 2020 that have paid off their mortgage and have bought new property or are planning to move the country. So really proud of the work that we've done so far. And we are going to keep going. In the next 12 months, we're hoping to support 10,000 people. That is double what we've done over the past 4 years. And that is through the workshops, the coaching sessions, and the one-to-one work that we do as well. So loads to come. But for now, we're meeting on this podcast just to spread some knowledge. So please connect with us either on social media, send us an email, or just watch out for any updates on our website. So what is financial wellness? Really, it is the ability to deal with the stresses of life. So one of the key issues from like having stress is financial stress. It's the leading cause. So, and we don't know how to deal with that type of stress. It feels so overwhelming. There's so much taboo wrapped up around it. There is shame when people are in problem debt. They feel ashamed for even being in that position. And we don't talk about the best practices. So at Froots, we want to spread that. And we want people to talk to their loved ones, talk to their friends about what they're doing well, and just sharing knowledge, really. So please tell your friends about this podcast. So financial wellness is not just for the rich. It's for everyone. We all have to deal with finances, whether you're on minimum wage or you're in the top 1%. We all have to deal with it. So we all have to be able to manage the £100 that we have or £100,000 that we have. So we don't discriminate, because there are high earners that think that financial wellness isn't for them. However, studies show that the more you earn, then you have a lifestyle creep. You want to spend more. So if you get a promotion at work, you might think, let me get myself a new car, a more expensive car, but then you're not saving more. So we want to cultivate that financial wellness, especially to be able to deal with any emergencies that might happen. We know life changes so quickly. We're living in a world right now where the environment is really rocky. We have no idea what's going to happen next year. So it's very important to be able to have those emergency funds, insurance. Have you thought about your retirement plan, your pension? So it doesn't mean that it stops you from experiencing uncertainty or experiencing anything dramatic in your life. However, it means that you're more well equipped to deal with it. So you're not taken over by that financial stress. But do not get me wrong, even I get stressed out sometimes. I am a qualified accountant. with over 13 years experience, and I've just been announced 2024's top 50 women in accounting. I am good with money. However, I also deal with uncertainties. For example, I worked full time for a telco in 2023 and before that. So I was earning a really decent, really decent amount as a finance manager. However, I decided to step away from that to be a full-time business owner. If you're a freelancer, a temp worker, or a business owner, then you know how hard it is to get people to pay their invoices on time. I do have a mortgage. I bought my property at the age of 28. So I do have a mortgage that needs to be paid every month. So I find myself getting worried about people fulfilling their invoices. But thankfully, it's all about planning, careful planning, and also dealing with the financial stress. So we'll get into the details in a minute. So why is it important now to learn about financial wellness? You might have discussed it already with others. You might notice at your workplace under the benefits package, there's information around financial wellness. Maybe even your pension provider or your bank. Just check out their website. They might have some information around the subject. It's important because the cost of living, it keeps going up. Actually, inflation right now is steady, which is fantastic, but we never know what's going to happen. As I'm recording this, we are in autumn and it's creeping into winter, meaning that we're going to deal with the rise of energy bills and dealing with that. So we can talk about best practices, how to manage that, maybe saving for energy bills that will go up in the winter months and save for it during the summer months. So it's just being prepared. How many of us feel like we should have learned how to manage our finances in school whilst we were learning all sorts, learning about history, a king who had loads of wives? I just feel like we should have learned about the practical skills that we would need to survive day to day. Thankfully, there's a lot more information out there. So check out YouTube channels. There's a lot of videos, just like myself, hosting this podcast. There are some really great podcasts also on like Spotify, for example. You can read specific books as well around how to manage money. And first, have your basics right before you think about uh, investment and thinking about investing in this crypto, for example, or in this asset. Have your basics right, such as paying off your debt, making sure you've got a great debt to asset portfolio. Make sure that you're saving up for the future and you truly understand how much you have for your emergency fund, things like that before you go off and start investing. But we're going to be covering so many subjects in this podcast. Today it's just myself introducing Roots to Fruit, but we are going to have really great guests join us so we can discuss a whole host of things. I have a lot of questions as well. Questions that I used to feel like this is a silly question. Why don't I know this? I do my own research, but it's always great to talk to others that actually work in the field. So we're going to have really interesting speakers. So please stay tuned and please ask us any questions as well via social media. Send us a DM or email us as well. It's time for us to give the seeds away from root to fruit. Oh yeah, I haven't talked about roots to fruit. Where did the name come from? Okay, it's time for us to give the seeds away because from root to fruit. But I haven't told you how the name Roots to Fruits came about. During 2020, as we were spending the pandemic months at home, so my sister and I went to leave to stay with my parents. And my dad has a green thumb. He loves to garden. His garden's beautiful. And he was planting some seeds for us to have muriwo, which is a vegetable that you eat. So he planted them in springtime, which is when the whole pandemic started. So he planted the seed and he would water them every single day. And he asked us to water them whilst he was at work and would do this. It's like, okay, don't forget to water the garden. Great. And before you knew it, within a few weeks, you could see the shoot come out, which is amazing. And then before you knew it, during summer, we could eat the vegetables. And all it took was planting the seed, watering it over time, being patient with it, making sure that it's in the right environment. You plant the seed in the right soil and it's getting some sunlight and you're nurturing it over time. You're being patient. And before you knew it, we could reap what we saw. So it was really great to watch that. I thought that's the name of this business. From root to fruits, you need healthy roots as well, and you need to nurture them. Fixing up your finances doesn't happen overnight unless if you win the lottery. And actually, quite a lot of people that win the lottery end up back in debt. So it's not the thing that will fix your life. It takes practice. It takes intention. It means that you've sat down, you've created a budget, you're working through it over time, month by month, and before you know it, you're either out of debt, you've saved up, you've bought property, you've bought more assets, and you feel that financial wellness. So that's where Roots to Fruits came from. Now it's time to give those seeds away. I'm going to talk through budget trackers. It's really important to have some form of budget, some idea. There are some apps or maybe your bank. You could look at kind of the profile of your expenses because most banks, you can allocate your expenses to a category now. So for example, if you have rent, that goes under like your fixed expenditure. If you've got bills, council tax, that sort of thing, that goes against like fixed expenditure. And then your variable costs are things that you do have to pay for, but they're not the same every month. So that could be like your travel, your fuel, or maybe paying for food, for example. That's something that has to happen, but it changes depending on where you go. And then you've got your fun extras and your savings as well. So you need to think about kind of your overall profile. What is your expenditure profile? How much do you spend per month? If you don't know this, it's really hard for you to then budget. It's really hard for you to then know how much can you save, because you might earn quite a lot, but you always find yourself waiting for payday, waiting for paycheck to paycheck, because research shows that up to a third of UK adults have either no savings or less than £1,000 in savings. So that's less than the following month's expenses. And recently, during the cost of living crisis, a lot more people have been taking out debt, meaning they're living off their credit card or taking out loans to live off that. So that means that without those instruments and not being able to pay it back will lead them into financial stress. So you can go ahead and download the Risk to Fruit Money Tracker. We'll leave the link in the bio. And the second seed would be for you to build an emergency fund. The best way to do this is to think, how much will I need in 1 month? So after you've prepared your budget, understand what are your expenses on a monthly basis. How much do I need to live? Typically, within the UK, depending on where you live, this could be between £1,000 to £2,000 for your fixed expenses as well as your variable expenses. So how much do you need? So let's say that you need £1,500, times that by 3, and that's how much you need to have in the bank as your emergency savings, just in case someone in your family falls ill and you need to look after them or yourself. So these are the things that we need to think about. Or maybe if your car breaks down, do you have some money on the side to be able to deal with that. So build your emergency funds up and save for the future. We've got the 4S saving framework, which is something really easy for you to think to help you to be able to save. So the risk to Froots 4S saving framework. Okay. The third seed is to save for the future. We have the risk to Froots 4S saving framework, where we've got 4 S's that help you think, what's the best way for me to save? So the first S is to set a goal for yourself. It's really hard to save if you don't have an ideal number in mind. It's really hard to be disciplined if you don't have a goal. So it's easier if maybe you've got a goal to save an amount for a wedding, to save an amount for a holiday, a car, or a house, for example, and even just an emergency fund. So we just discussed that. Once you've nailed down what that number is, so 4,500, for example, for those 3 months, once you've nailed that down, now you've got a target, and then you can figure out how much can you genuinely save every month, and how much could you maybe cut out from your expenses to put towards more of your savings, and how long is that actually going to take you. That's way easier for you to do rather than just save a random amount every month, because it's really easy to take that out. Also, set up an automation. You pay yourself first. So when you get paid on your payday, especially if you're in a regular paying role rather than freelance, that's a lot harder. But if you're in a role where you get paid on the 30th of the month, every single month, then you can set up an automation for your standing order to come out literally on the 30th or the day after when you get paid. So set up that standing order. The third is to have different saving pots. So actually have different bank accounts for each goal that you do have. You will have multiple saving goals. Have a bank account that you can't just dip in and out of unless if it's your emergency fund, for example. And then the last one is to just stick to the plan. You'll be surprised what you can achieve if you were to save only £50 a month for 12 months compared to 1 month you save, the other you don't, the other you take it out. If you stick to the plan, you'll be surprised how far you can go. But also give yourself grace, because we're dealing in an uncertain economy. So if you can't achieve something, that's okay. Start again the next month. But try as much as you can to stick to the plan. That's it for today. A quick recap in giving your seeds away. Track your money. Download a budget template. The Risk to Fruits Excel template is free to use. You can download it on the website, risktofruits.com. You should build your emergency fund. Just work out what that is and then plan to save for the future. That will really help with your financial wellness. That's it for me today. I'll see you next week. That is all for us today, guys. Join us next week for some more seeds to sow. And please remember to support us by following and leave a rating on our show on whichever platform you're listening to us from. To those watching on YouTube, please leave a like and a subscribe to our channel. All of your support goes a long way. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, keep shining.